And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb and Friends here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us here on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books, and I do stress some of the books of our next guest. We're so excited to welcome best-selling author, media mogul, and entrepreneur Elvira Guzman to our broadcast today. She's the author of this book that I had a chance to read called Purpose, Awaken and Succeed, and she co-authored this book with someone you guys may know, Cupid. There you see, trust your gift as well. We're going to talk to Elvira not only about her amazing journey, but also what it's been like for her to be known for the things she's done and to be able to build the business she has. Joining us today, we're excited about our co-host. We have Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. Taz with us, Stacey Thomas, as well as Melissa Banks. How's everybody doing today?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Look, glad to have you all with us. Elvira, glad to have you. I want to say we're simulcasting our broadcast today. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. If you guys have any questions or comments for Elvira, we do have the chat open. Elvira, I'm going to kick things off with you. It's so good to be able to speak with you. First of all, I want to talk about, I've been kind of doing reflection for myself, and I've been asking this question about our guests. You've done so much this year. We're going to dive more into that later. But Elvira, what has it been like for you to kind of reflect on the year that's been 2024 for you?
Really, it's been a year of healing for me. It's been a year of getting back on my feet and deciding to pursue my purpose again. As you know, Cyrus, my mom passed away a year ago. And when that happened, I feel like my entire world just froze. And it took me a minute to be able to get back up again. But like Kirk Franklin said, I'm back up and better than ever. And I'm pursuing my purpose 100% now.
Yeah, love that. We're going to dive more into that. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Taz. She has some questions for you, Dr. Taz. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. Elvira, it is so good to be able to sit and chat with you today. I know that you started your career working with Steve Harvey when you were really young, and then later became his publicist. How did that experience change your career? And what important lessons did you learn that helped you in your own business?
Wow, the way that it helped me in my career is unexplainable. It's still helping me. And I resigned working with this company over a decade ago. And it just the lessons that he taught me, in the way that he taught me to be a professional businesswoman, he taught me to value my gifts, the way that he encouraged me to start my own business when I was 21 years old. And at the same time, I was still having him be one of my clients. A lot of people won't allow you to do that because of their ego, and they just want them to win versus the entire team to win. So Steve Harvey really showed me not just how to be an entrepreneur, but how to be a great boss. So thank God I've been in business for over 21 years now. And the same lessons that he taught me, I teach to every single person that has also worked for me. And I feel very fortunate that now when I look and I'm like, oh, wow, she's the head of that business or that company, I feel like, wow, that is the biggest payback ever in the world. And I would say a few of the major lessons that he taught me, number one is to be financially literate. And he taught me that lesson by telling me that if I helped him invest a certain amount of money, he would give me 10% of the gains. And immediately I ran to Barnes and Noble back in the day when we didn't have the availability, have everything on our fingertips. And I remember cramming through books and educating myself and having that be such a great experience that to this day, I still love to invest in stocks, but I also love to teach young women about it as well. And so that's just one of the lessons. Another major lesson too is to really be a family person and to put your family first. And so that's something that I take with me every single day. If I have a huge meeting, but one of my family members is ill, I'm going to make sure that that family member is taken care of before I make that meeting, because we have to take care of the people around us.
Absolutely. And, you know, I was making notes because those two F's are so important, making sure that you're financially literate and then making sure that you're putting your family first. And when you were saying that, it was like, okay, I can concentrate on what my purpose is when I know that I'm investing so that I can continue to fuel my purpose. And then when our family is ill, I can't concentrate on my business because my mind is focused on them. So I have to be deliberate and intentional about taking care of them also. So thank you for sharing those lessons with us. Now I'm going to switch it up just a little bit, make it a little lighter. Now, how has traveling, because I know you like to travel and I do too, we got that in common. How has traveling to different places around the world impacted your growth? And what's one destination that has really transformed how you see life, whether it's your personal life or your professional life?
Great question. Traveling has allowed me to really be grateful for all of the things that I have. Uh, Initially, growing up, ever since I can remember, my parents would take me to Mexico 2 weeks out of the year to visit family. And I would see the different way that their houses looked, the different way that the streets looked, the different salaries. Because I would like to ask my cousins, like, oh, what are you making? Or what does your mom make? Because eventually I ended up studying political science. So I wasn't just nosy. I like to know about what's happening in the government. And I would come back feeling so grateful of the opportunities that we have here in the United States. And so initially that was my feedback, and I just wanted to keep going to different places. And I would ask those questions like, what does the average person make here every month? And how can we help those individuals to be entrepreneurs and be able to bring in business from the US? And I would say that the biggest country that gave me the biggest influence, ironically, is one of the smallest, and it's Jamaica. Um, it has just about 3 million people, but Steve Harvey actually started taking me there when I was 21 to do philanthropy trips. And so initially we would go there to create computer labs. Back when the computers just started, back when they were big boxes. And so we would get in a big bus and we'd go from one point of the island to the other to create computer labs. And that just stuck into my heart. And working with Steve for so many years and doing that annually, it stuck into my brain. No, we need to go back. And I also seen other ways that I could be helpful. And so when I resigned working with Steve and I decided to just start focusing on my business, I still continue to go to Jamaica yearly to do work. And so that's something that I even got my husband to start doing. And it's something that makes him incredibly happy. And so I love it.
Well, I can tell you now, I can see how much you love it. And I thank you for being so dedicated. You know, Steve has really impacted your life, and the nuggets that he has sown in you, you're continuing to sow them and you're impacting others' lives. And so I just want to say kudos to you and thank you so much for being a part of my Q&A today. And I'm going to throw it to Melissa now.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm great. I am so excited to meet you today because as I was preparing, I really look at people, the journey that they went through and how that impacted them. And one of the things that stood out for me as I was watching videos and previous interviews that you've done, you talked about taking your pain to purpose. And that is so huge. And that just was so inspirational to me. And I want to thank you for sharing so much of yourself because you open up and you answer the question so openly. One of the things I wanted to talk about, first of all, is your determination. As a really young person, your determination and your work ethic, a lot of us still don't even have today. I mean, you were in it. You were going to do your very best at your job with Steve Harvey, but you wanted that degree and you put in the work to get it. And I was so impressed by that. But then I started thinking how at such a young age, the determination and the work ethic, where did that come from? And do you contribute that to your success?
Thank you so much for all of your beautiful comments. My work ethic comes from my parents. So my parents were business owners and they had several stores. And so they would go to work before I would go to school. They would come home after all of my volleyball, basketball practices, and they would have very little time for themselves. I think they would enjoy 1 hour of TV because my mom loved her novelas at nighttime. And so the whole family would get in the living room and watch it because it's the only time we really had with my mom all day. And so my work ethic comes from them and just feeling joy, just kind of like how Steve Harvey showed me how to be a good boss. So did my parents. And so I learned how to be a hustler in all of the beautiful ways. And I never seen aside from that 1 hour, my parents just being lazy, even if it was a Saturday or Sunday, they were always doing something to better the house, to help others. And so that really has helped me along the way. And thank you for saying that about my education, because at one point, I don't really stress it enough in interviews, but I think it's important for your viewers to know, because maybe there's a college student out there that's thinking, I can't do this anymore. I want to encourage them that they can. At one point, I was taking 20 units at USC, which after 18, you have to do a psychological evaluation to make sure that you can handle it. And based on your grades, you can get approved or not. And my entire focus was because Steve was going to be relocating to New York. And out of all of the employees, he had only selected one person to relocate to build the Steve Harvey network. And I had been selected. And so I had my last semester to get all of the units in so I could get my second degree. And so somewhere along the way, I learned how to multitask incredibly well. And that just went over into helping Steve, and then went over into building my own business. Because as you know, when you have a business, you have so many accounts. But if you've had to manage 20 units and then work full-time for Steve Harvey and work for BET, MTV, UPN all at once and have all of these accounts, when you open your own business, you're going to be able to handle it and you're going to be very successful. And so I do believe that my work ethic has helped me to be successful, but also modeling and being grateful for my opportunities. That's something my parents always taught me. Just because my parents were business owners doesn't mean that I get to treat other people any kind of way. My mom always made sure that I had respect. And so how that translated when I worked for Steve Harvey's company, many people in Hollywood don't show people respect. And so simply by me treating people with respect and kindness, that elevated me to the top. And thank God I'm still reaping the rewards from me treating just people with basic kindness.
And that comes out even in the interviews that I watched. It comes out in you speaking today, is that you have a heart and you're genuine, and it just really comes out. And I really thank you for that. My other question took me back to a time where I had to pivot. And it was the biggest pivot for me was during the pandemic. And so many people, that was the biggest pivot for them. But you talked about that in this interview that I watched, and you shared that when you had to pivot, it led you to books, which was a great thing. And I think about my own journey. That pivot was scary for me, but it led me to so many, just being able to talk to you today. So many good things came out of that. But you also said that we will all one day be faced with having to pivot. What advice can you share with us for how to deal with that when that time comes?
Thank you for that. And the number one tip, I have a few tips, but the number one tip is to take a break and pause. We don't, as women, we always feel like we have to be doing something. And when we have those pivots, which there's going to be a few in our life, they say women after 7 years, we like to do something new because we've mastered what we've done. And so in those moments, and if you don't know exactly what it is, take a little break, pray, meditate, be with God, be in nature, see what comes to you, because that next step, if it's the right one, it's going to be another 7 years. And we want to make sure that we're extremely successful, and being successful means also that we're enjoying it. It's a part of what we're really supposed to do. So for example, if we're supposed to pivot and then all of a sudden we get offered a job that pays really good money, but it doesn't feel right, no, that is not the pivot that we're supposed to do. We need to make sure that the next phase is going to be the one that's right for us, because we think that money's good, but the money is endless when you do what God wants us to do. And so I would just encourage that. So take that little break. And then number two, just like with everything else, we create an incredible plan. We align ourselves with the most amazing team that can do what we're not good at. And then you go out and you do your plan until you achieve it. It doesn't matter if it takes months or years, you just stay on that plan until you're successful.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely love that. Those tips, I know that helped me, and it's going to help every single person that listened to you today. Take a break. When you said take a break, that is huge. So many of us think we have to keep going. So that just poured into me, and do it until you're successful. I will never forget those words. Thank you for this time. I have been so inspired by you, and I know so many others have too. And I'm going to throw it over to Stacey.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You're just as beautiful as you are on Instagram.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
Well, I was excited when Sarah said that we were going to interview you, right? So then I said, well, let me see, like, let me look her up. Let me see what it is I don't know about Elvira Guzman. And the first thing that caught my attention on your Instagram page, when we know our purpose in life, no obstacle is big enough to stop us. I am Elvira Guzman. That says a lot, sweetheart. It's very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And from that, in reading about you, what amazes me the most is when I see someone doing the things you're doing, when I read about your story. My first question to you is, and I am truly sorry about your mother, been there, know how it feels, sweetheart. Okay. You were hit by two major storms: the passing of your mother, the imprisonment of your parents. People on the outside would look at you probably and say, how she's going to make it. You made it. You're here. Have you discovered your life's purpose, or are you still looking? Because you're obviously, you're here for a reason.
Absolutely. Thank you. And yes, I did make it, and I made it because of God. I made it because my purpose is big. Yes, through all of my obstacles, I've had several awakenings, and my final awakening that I've experienced came at 29, and God let me know why I was sent, what I'm supposed to do, what's going to happen when I leave this plane. And my purpose is to bring awareness to others about purpose, about awakening. That's why every single book that I create is about that topic. Every speaking engagement that I do is about that topic. Every TV show that I do is about that topic. And God told me I had to do it in various ways, which were book, TV, film, and radio. And so, just like Jeremiah, when God told me, I was like, absolutely not. No, thank you. I'm a publicist. I like to be behind the screen. But over here, and just like Jeremiah, God will drag you until you say, I surrender, Lord, and I will do what you want me to do. And so I went through that period, and I'm here. That was 8 books ago. And I haven't just written my books, I've helped celebrities to write their books to help others in various different ways. And so one book that I helped was Steve Harvey's Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Why? So many people feel that unless they have a partner, then they can't pursue their purpose because they don't have that support. Okay, cool. Let me help somebody help you get a partner. I helped Cupid write a book after he had a major stroke in front of his son where he thought he was going to die. And it had been because of bad eating. I'm like, okay, he could be a great example to millions of people out there. Let me share my gift of writing and let me ghostwrite his book. And so I feel so grateful that God has awakened me to the point where I'm able to awaken others and then assist them if they need that assistance to get them on their way. And so I feel very, very grateful for that.
Wow. Wow. And looking at your pictures, obviously,
Oh no.
Stacey, you're muted, Stacey.
oh God. Well, what I was going to say, wow, God is definitely smiling down on you, right? And it's always good when there's individuals that recognize their purpose. So when looking at your pictures on Instagram, no, I'm not stalking you, Elvira. I just friended you, followed you, but huge smiles. You're living good. You've worked for Steve Harvey. You've written books. You've done so many things. What keeps you so humble? Because a lot of times when we see people who are out there on social media, they pretend that life is perfect, that they have no story behind them. What keeps you humble?
God makes me do it. I will tell you that I didn't share my story out loud until I was 23 because I was embarrassed. I had shame. I didn't want people to judge me anymore. And it was hard for me to even say what happened to me, my voice would still shake because I hadn't gone to therapy. It wasn't until I lived in New York and I seen Steve speak at various high schools in Newark, and he would share the worst part of his stories that are not in the media about how he went to jail, how he had it so hard, how he was homeless. And when I seen that he shared the worst part of him and how it impacted the students, because a lot of kids could relate, I had so much admiration for him, and I was like, you know what, who am I? Let me put my ego aside and share my story, because if there's a little girl, little boy with parents in jail in here right now, I want them to hear that I'm just like them and they could make it just like I did. And so that's what really started to break me out. And it took time from 23 to about 29. It was so hard, but eventually I got good at sharing it, and then I wouldn't cry anymore, and then I wouldn't blank out anymore and not know what happened when I was on stage. And now I actually really, really enjoy it, because I know that there's at least one person out there that I'm going to help them in some way.
Thank you, Elvira. Thank you for sharing your story. Our storms, at times, when told, are a blessing to others. Thank you very much, sweetheart. And I'm going to pass it over to Cyrus Webb.
Thank you
so much, Stacey. Appreciate it. I want to reset real quick and say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb and Friends here on Amazon Live. Already you can see the friends are having a great conversation with our guest today. Elvira Guzman is here. She's a best-selling author, entrepreneur, media mogul. She's been talking with us here, not only about the journey, but also what it's been like for her to make an impact. Elvira, I'm so glad to have these moments to wrap up with you, because I got to know you through this book. I'm going to highlight it on the Amazon side. And the title is so appropriate: Purpose, Awaken, and Succeed. You did a post in July of 2021 on, unlike Stacey, I'm not stalking you, but this post was so powerful to me because you talked about the key to success being grateful. I want to talk about what that's been like for you to not only to find that gratitude in your life, Elvira, but also to share that with other people as they look for their own road to success. What has that been like?
Incredible. I once again, I have to give kudos to my mom. My mom was a very positive person. It could be raining outside and the most gloomy day, and she's like, "Oh my God, the rain is a blessing," and just little things like that. And so it was really hard to be negative around her. And so even in my terrible teens, I remember her giving me a book from Louise Hay with affirmations. And she was like, whenever you have a negative thought, I want you to read this book, and I want you to start to retrain your brain, because I don't want you to go negative. And so just little things like that, I remember, that have really helped me along the way to be able to write books like that. And once again, Cyrus, thank you so much for your support. You have no idea. When I found out that you were reviewing Cupid's book and my book, it just made me so excited, because I've been following you for quite some time, and not saying that I am stalking you also, but I love your interviews. But yeah, writing has been such a true joy, and sharing my story has been incredible. And I just hope that my story helps those, even if they're wanting to be an author and they don't have the courage to do it. I want this interview to inspire them, because they think that one book may be it, but then they're going to be so excited and be like, oh my God, book number 2, book number 3, just like I have been.
Yeah. You let me give some quick shout outs here, and I appreciate that. I feel the same way about you. On Instagram, hello to you. Insight Magazine, glad you could join us. I think it's pronounced Usi, hello to you. 563 Music Group, hello to you over there on IG. MS Scorpio, hello to you. Coach Keisha King, hello. On Amazon, hello to you, Rika. Thank you so much for the follow over there. And on Facebook, we have Earl. Earl says, love this show. Thank you for that, Earl. Appreciate that. Kate, hello to you over there on Facebook. She says, hello. Kenneth Brown says hello as well. Dr. Velma says hello. Tracy, hello to you. You know, one thing that if you guys have not gotten this book, I would definitely recommend they start with this one, Elvira, because one thing that you talk about that I try to get people around me to realize what has helped me so much is to remove the noise. You talk about not giving into the chaos. You talk about that in this book. There are so many people that they become so enveloped in it, they can't see their way out. What has that been like for you to show not only examples of how they can do it, but the importance of not being reigned by the chaos in their life?
Yeah, I do believe creates illnesses and diseases in our body.
Mhm.
And I learned that in my healing process. So when they detected a large ovarian cyst in my body, I started to research. And so in that moment, I realized that I could no longer listen to negative TV, listen to negative movies, listen to negative coworkers at happy hour, because all of that was literally affecting my body. So at that point, I had to switch and say, okay, what can I do now instead of giving my body all of this toxic energy? What can I do to heal? So I immediately removed the noise. I would start going hiking every single day, pray, meditation, and so sure enough, my body healed. And thank God, since then, I've had a great health, and I feel really good. And I don't feel the need to align myself with the things that are negative anymore. So, and I'm very sensitive to it as well. Like if I go in somebody else's car and they have negative content, I'm like, can you please turn it off? Because it's very important what we allow in our ears.
So true. I want to read something, if you don't mind, Elvira, from chapter 6 of your book, Take Control of Your Thoughts. And it perfectly aligns with what you just said. And of course, I have the print edition there. It's on page 68. And again, we have it on the Amazon side for you guys. You can get either the paperback or, of course, be able to get the other versions there. But there, Elvira says this: what we focus on will grow. If we choose to focus on negative thoughts, that will produce a negative life, similar to what you were just saying there, Elvira. Then you said, have you ever had a friend tell you they've had the most terrible day and things keep getting worse? They have all that negative energy in them. It's no wonder things keep turning out bad. At the moment of the first obstacle, they need to release the negative energy and just think, if this is done, it has to be for my good. So I will continue with a positive mindset and great day. And I love that shift there, no matter what may have. So I want to ask you in my last question here, Elvira, what would you say to people who feel like, you know what, 2024 was not the year I had planned? What would you say to them about the importance of looking forward and choosing to make tomorrow a better day?
Literally, what we think about, we manifest in our life. Every single minute, we have between 25 to 48 thoughts. Whichever one we choose to is what we're going to manifest. And it's incredibly important that we know those laws so that we can start to bring in what we want. So for example, little tips that you guys could do that will make you have a better 2025 is on the side of your bed. What I do is I put my yearly goals. Every single day before I get up, I read them. When I go to sleep, I read them. If I can't sleep at nighttime, I read them. And sure enough, as soon as I start to mark things off, I literally mark it off because that brings a sense of joy. And I actually learned that from Jim Rohn. And it's incredibly important we do little things like that. Another thing that I learned, and this one I actually got from Jim Carrey, I wrote a $10 million check to myself and I put it right outside our bedroom. So every time I go to a meeting, I look at that check. In our gym, I have another list of goals. And so no matter where we're at in the house, I have things that are motivating and that are inspiring that every single day I'm like, no, I'm going to get it. I'm going to manifest this. And I start to receive it. Every single thing that I've ever wanted in my life, I've always been able to manifest it. Thank God.
Love that. Elvira, great conversation with you. We're so glad to have you here on Amazon Live with us, with Cyrus Webb and Friends. Again, everyone, Elvira Guzman has been our guest. She's been talking with us not only about the year that's been 2024, but also with our co-host here, Stacey Thomas, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Melissa Banks, about her journey as well. Elvira, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
The best way nowadays is Instagram. So just send me a message there and I'll be very happy to respond to you, or LinkedIn. Reach out to me. And especially if you guys need some guidance on if you guys want to be authors or if you guys want to start businesses, let me know and I'll be very happy to give you some tips.
Love that. I love that. Elvira, thank you again for spending this time with us. Really appreciate it. Ladies, great job as always here. I appreciate you guys. And for you all tuning in, either on the Amazon platform or on social media, we're so glad you all could be with us as well. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thanks so much for joining us here at Cyrus Webb and Friends. We'll see you all soon. Take care.